Discovering possibilities and potential with passion every day. This is a TPPN production. Welcome to the iPad Possibilities Podcast, episode number 72, OmniFocus. This podcast is supported by Gadget Freeway. Check out Gadget Freeway at gadgetfreeway.com. They've got a lot of great iPad accessories such as anti-glare screen protectors, so you can actually use your iPad outside for the first time. An amazing iPad bag that I use for my iPad geocaching and just out and about usage. So just check them out at gadgetfreeway.com, and that is the very best way to support this podcast. So without further ado, let's get on to the topic of today. So the topic of today is OmniFocus. And this is an app that I absolutely love. I have to say that first and foremost. But before we get into too much about OmniFocus, I want to remind everybody, if you're a new listener, you might not even know these exist. But episodes 25 and 26, John and I on our live show actually interviewed the CEO of the Omni Group, Ken Case. So check out that 2-hour interview split into two parts in episodes 25 and 26. Some great thoughts and some great insights as to what the Omni Group as a whole is about. So check out those episodes for some more information about the Omni Group. But today's episode is going to be all about OmniFocus. Now, the first question I have to answer is, what is OmniFocus? Well, OmniFocus is a professional task management system. So it's a system. It's not just a single app. It works on your Mac. It works on your iPhone. And these are all different apps that interplay beautifully together, and each have a little bit different feature sets. And I believe they're going to be working at unifying that in the coming weeks and months. But they all sync together, and the sync is really fast, and it is really seamless, and it works really well. So it's professional, I have to say. It is a very high quality, very powerful tool to manage your tasks. So if you're looking for something that can help you stay on track, keep your time spent wisely, this is a great tool to do that. It is just that. It's for task management. It is basically to-do on steroids. It is GTD on steroids. It is one of the best systems for managing tasks I have seen. I have played with other systems. I used to use Toodle-Doo. I used to do Remember the Milk and all sorts of other things. The only one I haven't tried out is Things, which would be a pretty good one to try out as a comparison. But I played with them all. I've tried them all. But I always have come back to OmniFocus. And in today's episode, I hope to share why that is so. So with that said, let's just first off say who it is for. And who it is for is simply those that want to be more productive with their time. Those that realize it may take a little bit of an investment to get some software that could help me get on track, but I think it's going to be worth it. So it's for those guys that or gals that want to be more productive and want to make sure they're not forgetting anything. And that's exactly what it's for. And I'm going to show you, and actually not show you, but tell you in today's episode why it is that way. So this isn't going to be a sales pitch, but this is going to be a full out, this is what OmniFocus for the iPad is all about. Here's what's in it. Here's what makes it really great. And I'm going to also point out some things that it's missing right now, some little things that bug me. So I'm going to give you the full scope of what I've discovered with OmniFocus for the iPad so far. So that's kind of the intro to today's episode. With that said, I have to also mention OmniFocus is available for the Mac and iPhone. The Mac version is $80. They also have an education license available for $50, and that's how I purchased OmniFocus for the Mac. Back in college, I got it for $50, and I purchased the iPhone version once it came out for $20, and that's the price it is today. I did purchase OmniFocus for the iPad with my own money, but then they actually reimbursed me, so it didn't end up costing me anything to purchase this app in the long run. But I felt compelled enough to purchase it right away. I requested a promo code, but I felt that I needed to have this right away because it is a tool that makes me so much more productive. So that's the intro to today's episode. So with that said, let's just get into the meat of it. And let's start off with GTD. So GTD it stands for Getting Things Done. And it's a system developed by David Allen. And there's a whole book that I read about this. And the concept is you want everything out of your brain. You want everything that you can think of gone. You don't want to have things that you might be forgetting, or you don't want things having loose ends, basically, is what GTD is all about. It's about getting things out of your mind and into this system which you completely trust. The system you have to trust. Otherwise, you will be thinking about things that you might be forgetting, might be leaving out of the system, and you will not have the relaxation, the stress-free environment that a GTD system provides. So GTD is a system of getting things done. You can check out David Allen's book for more information about this, but this is what OmniFocus is based around. So that's the whole premise, the whole parameters for how OmniFocus was developed, and it was developed with the help of Merlin Mann. So it's been around a few years, and I've been using it for many years now. So it's great to see this iPad version come out. So with that said, let's dive right into the iPad version. What's it all about? What's in it? How's the interface work? And all those kinds of things. So let's start out with the left panel. So I say let's start with the left panel, but let's just start out with the interface. What is this app all about? So once you launch it, it can be used in either landscape or portrait. I prefer to just have it in landscape so I can see everything going on. And in landscape mode, you'll see initially on the left side a little panel of different items. And those include projects, context, map, forecast, flagged, review, and perspectives. And you'll also see at the top a quick entry, an inbox, and then the ability to sync and open up the action or system preferences for OmniFocus there. And that's the left panel there. And you also have access to your right 2/3 of the screen, which are your tasks and the way you find what you need to do and all those things. So that's kind of an overview of what it looks like. It's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. It's something that I feel like I want to keep open all day, just sitting next to me, next to my Macs, to keep me on track. And so the left panel, it has those items on there. And the cool thing is you're able to easily reorganize that left panel in the different interfaces. You're able to edit the sidebar to edit the order. And that's something that you haven't been able to do with the iPhone version that you can do with this version. So the cool thing is that I'm going to talk about more in depth is OmniFocus for the iPad combines all the power of mobility with their iPhone app, with all the power of the desktop app in this new iPad app. It's the best of both worlds, and that's what it's really about. So first off, I'm going to answer the question of the inbox. Now, the inbox is used for just dumping your things that are on your mind into that inbox. You just put them in there, and they're there to be ready to be sorted, or if it's a task that can be completed right away, it can stay in the inbox. But that's kind of the brain dump area, and from there, you'll move it to projects in different areas of OmniFocus. So that's the inbox. And what are projects, you may ask? So in many things that people write as to-dos shouldn't be to-dos at all. They should rather be projects. Now, what I mean by this is some to-do lists are very ambiguous, meaning it may take many more steps than you realize when you just wrote down a simple task, such as go shopping for groceries. Now, that's very ambiguous because you don't know what you need. So go shopping for groceries may be a project, and underneath that you say bananas, ice cream, cereal, oatmeal, and you have all the things that you need to buy. So projects are a simple way of explaining that, hey, this is something I need to do with many to-dos under it, and that's what a project is all about. So I've got projects that are organized by the different areas that I'm involved in. You can organize these within folders and things like that. So I've got personal projects, I've got virtual assistant projects, I've got podcasting projects, and all sorts of different things. I've got miscellaneous. So I sort all these things in different projects, and different to-dos go under each project. So a really great thing about getting things done is it wants you to break down everything that you're trying to accomplish into simple tasks that can easily be accomplished within a few seconds or minutes. It wants the bare bones simplest things. So you break all of your tasks down into the simplest things and accomplish them as you're able to. And it enables you to be able to do things more efficiently. And we'll get into that efficiency later. Actually, we'll get into it now. So the next thing is about context, right? What is context? That's the next option there on OmniFocus. And the context is simply what is required to do this project. Is it a person? Is it a location? Is it equipment, tools, software? What is it? So some examples in my own OmniFocus library are, I've got different locations such as Marsh Supermarket. I've got different locations such as my home, such as I've got car in there. I've got email in there. Some tasks I need to be on email to accomplish. I've got errands, which have actually subcontexts such as errand store name. So I've got different context to go with each store I visit on a regular basis. I've got technology with Apple devices as one context. I've got my Mac Mini as another. I've got Skype as a context. I've got my iPad as a context. So context is very simply, what do you need to accomplish this task? And this is a very powerful thing to understand. If you start to use context to their true advantage, you can find all of the things you need to do on your email at the same time. So you can do all your emails at the same time. You can do all your errands at the same time. You can do everything that relates to that context, everything that you need to phone calls. You can do all of those very quickly with context. So that's what contexts are all about. And that's one of the things that makes OmniFocus such a powerful thing. It's able to group all of those things together very easily. And I'm able to find, hey, I've got these with no context, but I've got these that I can do anywhere. I've got these that I can do in my car. I've got these that I can do on my Mac Mini. I've got these that I can do on my iPad. So contexts are very powerful. And one reason they're powerful is they're able to give you maps or locations where you can do things. So the next below context is map. So I've got one of my items to do as errands. I have to run some errands. I have to go to the supermarket, and it shows me, it'll search on Google Maps for stores around me, and it will find, I can pop up that map, and it will show me quite literally that I can accomplish this task by driving to this area. And with the iPhone app, they're going to be pushing that information to you whenever you drive by certain places. So that's going to be a pretty powerful thing for the iPhone version. But it's just as relevant with the iPad version because you have this huge map that you're able to work within, and it's a wonderful thing to have. And I've used it countless times, and I'm gonna be using it more and more as that iPhone version is updated to push me that information. So that is the map, and that's something that's available in the iPhone version, and I'm not sure if it's available on the Mac. But the next feature, the next panel on that left side there is forecast, and this by far is one of the best advantages to this iPad version. So with OmniFocus, you put start time, start days and due dates and things on it, and with forecast, it will, as it describes, give you a week and into the future of what you need to get done. So you can do a quick glance at what needs to be accomplished this week in your life. So you won't forget to do things. You won't be wondering where are these tasks coming from that are due the next day or whatever. So forecast, even though you're able to find this information with an OmniFocus by doing some perspectives and things, with forecast, it makes it that much more simple. It's an amazing tool that I've used already. I just have forecast up to see what I need to do. And this is one nitpicky thing that I suggested to the Omni group, and they replied back to me that they're going to start working on this, is you lose your organization of your projects in the forecast view. So it just lumps all the tasks together without any organization. And that's the one thing I've encountered so far that has just been driving me crazy with this forecast mode. It's a great mode, and I love just glancing at what I can do this week, what's due this week, and what's really important to me this week. But that's one little thing that I have not quite enjoyed. So that's forecast. It's a great feature that is going to be making their way to the other versions pretty soon, I hear from the Omni group. So that's a great new feature of Omni group, OmniFocus the iPad. Now, under that is flagged, and flagged is, as it says, it's flagged items, things that you want to make sure you don't forget. And I would use these flags very liberally, very not that much. So be careful what you flag, because you just don't want too much in there. So you have flagged with all your flagged tasks right there. And then the next thing is review. And review is something I've never done. And why is that? Because it's always been a painful process to do on the Mac. But now on the iPad version, they've done something incredible. They've done something that has made me start to review my projects again. They've given us a great interface that it'll show you a list of all the projects, all the tasks that need reviewed. And David Allen suggests a weekly review of all your projects to see if you want to continue doing these projects. So you can drop the projects at that time, if it's something that you want to put on hold for a little while, or if it's something that you completed, or is it still active? So that's the concept. You want to review your projects once a week to make sure they're still relevant in your life. And you're able to, within this application on the iPad, see and review all of those projects, and you can mark them review. You can stamp them as reviewed. And I did this today, and it was such an enjoyable experience and something I never did on the Mac, even though I should have, because it's good for staying on track. So that's review. It's a very powerful thing to start to utilize to be more productive with your life. And the final thing on that left panel is perspectives. And that'll give you different customized view options that you've created on the Mac. And I'm still figuring out how to sync this all together with perspectives, but I think it's going to be pretty powerful. I fully don't understand what it's all about right now, but it's something that will become more and more useful as I learn the application better and better. So that's the left panel. Those are the big things that you have access to on the iPad as far as getting between the different areas, between projects, context, map, forecast, flagged review, and perspectives. So that was the first part, and now I'm going to get into actually working with OmniFocus to accomplish tasks, to enter tasks, to find tasks, and kind of the other side of OmniFocus. So here we go with that part right now. So here is how you basically add items in OmniFocus. So adding items, and it's something that I do on my iPad, but quite honestly, as I've been using this, I'm using my Mac to do my brain dumps and add most of my tasks, but it's great that I can add items. And the better thing is I'm finding is the iPad interface is much better to edit my tasks and projects as far as parallel, and all the little nitty-gritty stuff is much easier on the iPad than it is the Mac. So let's get into adding items. So there's two ways to add items. The first is a simple plus at the top right corner, and that enables you to add a new entry, a quick entry, or a new project. Actually, sorry about that. A new project, a new folder, or a quick entry. So you're able to add those three things with that plus in most of the views. And let's just get into what happens when you select new project. So it'll give you a new project. You simply type in the project name. You type in if it's a parallel project, if it's a sequential project. So basically, do the tasks need to be done in order, or can they be done whenever? And you have the status that you're able to select: active, on hold, completed, or dropped. You have the context that we talked about earlier. You have flagged, unflagged. And then you have below that dates. So you're able to select start dates, which I think are more important than the due dates. One thing I think is a big problem with many people is they set these artificial due dates that don't really need to happen. So with due dates, I'd recommend, if it's really critical, if it really needs to be done on that day for sure, add a due date. Otherwise, add a start date. And start dates are pretty powerful because OmniFocus won't let you know about this task until it's the day to start this task. So what this means is I've got a task that I know I'm starting on August 15th because the people I need to start this task with won't be home until then. So not until August 15th will OmniFocus alert me that this task needs to be done, needs to be started, and I've got the due date selected there because it's a very important due date. But otherwise, I'd hold off on adding due dates. So dates are very important, and the way OmniFocus for iPad does this is pretty smart. You don't have keyboard shortcuts for the iPad, and that's a problem when trying to be very time efficient when adding projects and tasks. So what they've done is they've added these quick basically advancements of time with a +1 day, +1 week, +1 month tap right below the start and right below the due date items. So I just click +1 day, and it has tomorrow at 12 o'clock a.m. I hit it again, and it gives me Thursday, gives me the next day. So instead of these quick keyboard entries like we do on the Mac that we're all used to, OmniFocus has developed this way to do a similar thing with your finger, with this simple hitting a +1 day, +1 week, +1 month. And that's a very cool thing that they've added. You're also able to set repeat dates. You can have it every 1 day, every 5 days, every 7 days, every 9 days. You select how many every days you need, or every week, or every month, every hour. You select it. You select the repeat occurrence, and that's something pretty powerful if you can learn how to utilize properly with what you're doing. You're also able to add notes for the project. So if there's certain URLs you need to visit, if there's certain things you need to remember about that project, you can do that there as well. And you can also attach audio or photographs to your tasks to remind you, or simply record a voice memo of what you need to do with this task. So that is the interface and what you're able to do basically with adding projects, and that will pretty much apply to folders and quick entries as well. All those different options apply there as well. So very powerful things there. The only differences with folder names, with the folder adding there, is you're able to move within OmniFocus pretty easily where the folder is located. There is a simple move button that you're able to just tap on to accomplish. And with quick entry, it'll give you your action title, and then you're able to select which project you want it in. So that's adding things, and it's pretty great. I'm finding myself really enjoying this interface of adding items, and you're able to edit the items in that similar interface that you've synced over from your Mac or iPhone by just simply tapping on any single project or item. So if you just tap on an action, it'll pull up that interface, and it'll tell you your context, your project. You're able to change those things, change the dates, and it's a great thing to have. So their interface as far as adding projects and editing those projects and tasks is just light years above what it is on the Mac, I think. And their interface as far as alerting you if projects are available and things like that is really fantastic. They have, things grayed out if it's on hold, and they have flagged items in orange and different things like that. So that's a really great thing about OmniFocus. Now, as far as making sure you're focused on what you need to be focused on is an important thing. So once you have all these tasks in there, it's important to make sure you're staying focused. So how do you do that? Well, on the Mac, you just simply click the quick entry key for focus, and it'll just focus on that project you're at. And I've always found this interface a little clumsy, little hard to understand. So what OmniFocus for iPad does is you just hold down your finger on a project that you want to focus on, and you just simply select focus. And that will allow you to focus on that project alone. It gets rid of everything else. So that's all your mind is worried about. That's all you're concentrating on. And that's an amazing thing that OmniFocus for the iPad has accomplished. Because before, it wasn't an easy thing. It wasn't an easy thing to understand about how to focus on projects. And that was something that really bugged me. It's like I'm having a hard time focusing with these projects because it's just not an easy to understand interface on the Mac, at least not as fun of a one. And while you're holding down, you're also able to select delete, paste, or review. So you can simply select right there if you want to review. So instead of focusing, you can enter into that review mode with that one project to put it on hold, to drop it or complete it, or mark it as reviewed. You're also able to add a new action by simply holding down and selecting new action. And that's a pretty cool thing to have in that interface. So overall, my thoughts here as far as working with projects, working with tasks, is this is the very, very best way to do that. It's the best way to edit if it's sequential or not. It's the best way to interface with your tasks. It's the best way to just simply get things done. The Mac is great for dumping all of your information into the system, but the iPad is, I think, the best way to manage those tasks, to get them done, to focus on things, to interface with your projects, to see that forecast, to see that map. And I think it's an incredible application to do just that. So what else is left that I have to talk about here? Well, there's a few things. There's that settings information here. So with the settings button, you have access to help, release notes, contact Omni, settings, sync setup, and edit sidebar. So in that settings area, you're able to adjust the app icon badge count. So when you exit out OmniFocus, it'll give you a badge count, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, etc. If you're able to add, if you want due soon, overdue, and flagged items, which of those do you want included there? And you're able to change what due soon means for that badge. You could have that mean 24 hours, 2 days, 3 days, 4 days, 5 days, or 1 week. So those are the different things you can change it to. And you can also turn on calendar alarms. You can also turn on Safari bookmarklet. So what this will do is once you install it, it's very easy to install, is you just click on this bookmarklet in Safari. It'll launch up OmniFocus for the iPad and create a new task, a new project that's linked to that URL, that's associated with that URL. So it works great, but one quick tip I experienced when doing this is if you have the iPhone version, get rid of it because it'll default to that app. So get rid of the iPhone version if you have both installed. Otherwise, the bookmarklet will get confused and go to the iPhone version, which I guess would not be a big deal because it's all syncing together. So either way. And the next thing in the settings app, it'll tell you about your database. So right now I have 53 projects, 438 actions, 134 zip files, and I'm able to reset that and start from scratch if I want to, right from with iPad within this area of the application. So that is my second part of this episode on how to enter tasks, what that interface is like, what you're able to do with that, and just generally working with tasks. So my next part will be what makes this iPad version so special. Why buy this app if you already have the iPhone version, if you already have the Mac version? Why buy this app, or why buy all three? So that's going to be the next part that I jump into right now. So part 3. And this part is all about what makes the iPad version of this app so special and so important to using OmniFocus. So the first thing about the iPad version is the different features that just make it work better. The first is forecast. Now, forecast I did not think would be a killer feature for me, but as I am using the iPad version more and more, this has been just an amazing thing that I always thought that needed to be in a GTD app. And that is just simply letting you know, what do you have to expect this week? What is going to come up this week that you need to take care of? Are there things that you can get done in advance so your Friday is a lighter day? And Forecast makes that so easy. Now, to those that probably haven't used OmniFocus before, they probably think, duh, this is a simple feature that should have been there all along. But it's there now. So that's what makes the iPad version very special. The other feature is the map, and that is a great feature for the iPad because it's got that larger screen. Now, what I would like to see is the ability to open up coordinates that you're traveling to in the Google Maps to travel to them with their driving directions. That's not there yet, but I think that would be a killer feature to add. Currently, you can do that with the iPhone version, so there's not as much of a need because you've got the iPhone version too, probably. And one of the things that also makes the iPad version special is the review process. Reviewing has never been easier with this iPad version. You're able to tap and hold on the project if you want to review it. You're able to just simply enter the review mode and just review all your projects right there. And the interface is just so simple and it's an enjoyable experience reviewing your projects. Which projects do you want to continue with? Which don't you want to continue with? So the real thing about the iPad version and why I think it's an essential part of this system of OmniFocus is it's the easiest to understand version. It's just so simple, so easy that you don't have to be an OmniFocus guru. You don't have to be a GTD guru. You can start simple and understand that it's powerful, if that makes sense. It's a very simple app with a lot of power to it. OmniFocus for the Mac is very powerful, but not the most simplest app. Likewise with the iPhone version. It's a little bit more simple than the Mac version, less powerful, but they hit it on the nail with simplicity of this app. They really did. And that's what I've captured from just using this app for a couple of days so far. And it's just so easy to understand. What they've done here is, as I talked about and alluded to earlier, is they've combined the power of the desktop with the power of mobility. So they've added all of the things that made the iPhone version truly amazing, with all the things that made the Mac version truly amazing, and combined it into just this incredible immersion of desktop and mobility. And it is really, to me, feels like the future of where apps will be. This immersion of desktop and mobility into one app that has the potential to get rid of the need of the Mac. Now, that's a strong statement that the Mac will no longer be essential. And in using these apps, you really don't need OmniFocus for the Mac anymore. You really don't. You're able to sync over their own sync service. This is something I haven't mentioned before. They have this new OmniSync that you're able to set up in seconds, minutes, and you're able to sync your iPhone and your iPad without a Mac anymore. Just like Text Expander, you don't need the Mac anymore. The iPad is becoming more and more that central device. And in the next year, the next 2 years, more apps will emerge like this. We will begin to see that the Mac will become less and less relevant, and that you can do everything, if you want to, on the iPad. So this iPad version combines mobility and desktop into one app and makes it so you don't need the desktop anymore. You don't need that anymore if you don't want it. And quite honestly, I'm not using the desktop version that much anymore. I do open it up because there are some things that I like out of it. The desktop version, you're able to add Excel files. You're able to add Word documents to tasks that you can open up, edit, and it saves back into it. And that's something I'm still utilizing. I'd love to see some way to do that on the iPad. I think there are some limitations with how the iPad works, such as that sandboxing, which may make that impossible for the moment, but that's something I'm still using on the Mac that makes it a better experience there. But for the rest of it, OmniFocus for the iPad is what I'm using. And I'm using it because it does what the iPad does best. It allows you to concentrate, to have one screen devoted to one thing. So that iPad, when it's open, is now devoted to helping me get through my tasks as quickly as possible in the most efficient manner as possible. And that's what iPad is all about. That's what OmniFocus for the iPad is all about. The Mac version, it's got some clutter. It's got some... It's not the most Mac-y app. It's not the most iPad-y app where you're able to just focus on one thing and get things done. So I'm in the iPad app more and more. That's what I have open. The Mac app is there to sync, to do mass data dumps, and that kind of stuff. It's not there to have open all day and to be looking in all day, to be being made aware of what my tasks are next. The iPad is that app now. It's because of that simplicity, that power that's all in one package. It's kind of hard to explain why the iPad version is so special. It really does. It's a combination of both of the best worlds. So it's the easiest to understand version, and they've done some cool things that make it very cool. They have that focus, so you're able to tap to hold the focus or review. They have the eyeballs just from the Mac, but it's more usable now. You're able to show those eyeball that if you just tap in the top, there's those little eyeballs. You're able to change your view options from next available, available remaining, or all. So you're able to, that's the power from the Mac. The power from the Mac makes its way down to this iPad version in a much easier to understand way, in a much more powerful way because it is so much easier to understand. You're able to easily add context. And this is one of the cool things, that the Mac version, you can add context. But with this, you're able to add location information. You're able to pin drop a map on a map, this new context. So if you want to get a context assigned to a certain location, the iPad is by far the best way to do this. So it does so much more than simply combining it. It wraps it into this package that makes it so compelling, so amazing, that you don't even need the Mac version anymore unless you need it for those massive data dumps. You really don't. The iPad version stands alone, and over the coming months, as they add more and more features, it will become more of a standalone client that you really don't need the Mac anymore. The iPhone is a great app to have. The iPhone app allows you to access all those tasks in your pocket, and that's what the power of it. It's simply on the road. If I need to look something up really quickly, that's what it's for. But the iPad version is the killer app to have of all three of them. And I've invested some money into this OmniFocus system. I've invested $70 so far. I bought the desktop app for $50 and the iPhone app for $20. And it's been worth it. It's been worth it. Even when I wasn't using it that much, it was still worth it to me. And now, as I am becoming someone that works out of their home, someone that owns some businesses that needs to stay focused on that, someone that's an assistant to others that needs to manage different contacts and make sure I'm not forgetting anything with how I'm working with people, it's become an invaluable tool to make sure I stay on task, to make sure I stay committed to finishing things on time and starting things on time. So this app is what has consumed my iPad when I'm at work. It's just open all day, letting me know what I need to do in a beautiful way. And the question is this app worth it for you? And I think this app stands alone by itself. I don't think you need the Mac app. I think the iPhone version is helpful. So I think you're looking at a $60 investment overall. And you might want to add the Mac app later, which would be an additional $50 or $80, depending if you're a student or not. So you have to ask yourself, is it worth it? Is your time worth it? Is your time worth the extra $40? Is it worth the extra $60? Is it worth the extra $140 for the whole system? And that's something you have to ask yourself. What is your time worth it to you? Are you only worth $1 an hour? Are you only worth $10 an hour? What is your value of time? And that's the question you need to ask if this app is worth it for you. It is a professional app. It is an app designed to help professionals become more efficient with their time and thus make more money with their time. And I do make more money with my time because of OmniFocus. That's a fact. I'm able to compare data about how fast I'm able to get work done. And with OmniFocus, I get it done faster. So yes, it is worth it for me. And that's why I initially paid for it, even though, thankfully, Omni Group, they did give me a free reimbursement of it. So there are alternatives out there. If OmniFocus is not for you, that's fine. I don't force anyone to use apps, but I'm just saying this app has been worth it for me 100%. Even though I don't have a huge income right now, it's been worth that investment to use as a student, to use as a podcast, to use as a virtual assistant, to use just in my day-to-day life. And the thing is about task management is you have to love the system you're using. Otherwise, you're not going to use it. You're not going to see a reason to go back to it day in and day out. And I've experienced, as I talked about, To-Do and other Google tasks and iCal and all sorts of other task management systems. And I never fell in love with a task management system until OmniFocus. And that's what you have to ask yourself is, am I going to stick with it? You need to fall in love with the system. Why not fall in love with what I think is the best system out there, and that is OmniFocus. So that's my big OmniFocus episode. I wanted to be as in-depth as possible. I hope I didn't lose anyone in the process. I'm trying to explain some visual things through audio, and I hope I did a good job. I'd love some feedback if I did not do a good job there. You can email me at iPadPossibilities@gmail.com or 209-542-iPad. But yeah, OmniFocus is a fantastic app. So if you're curious about this, please send your questions. Please write in or call in. I'd love to hear from you. But I know there's a lot of debate about pricing. And for me, it's worth it. And as I said, there's a lot of power to this app, and it's just a fantastic app that I could not live without. So that is OmniFocus, and for premium users, I will be doing some video tutorials and walkthroughs of OmniFocus. And some will appear in the app as kind of teasers, but for those premium users, I'll be adding some video tutorials to hopefully make this more clear. So yeah, that's OmniFocus. I tried to do this the best I could. There's a lot of stuff, and in a powerful app such as this, it's kind of hard to explain it. And I hope I did the best job I could, and I hope that you guys got a lot out of this episode in evaluating if OmniFocus is for you. So with that said, if you want more information, you can visit omnigroup.com. You can check out their already released apps, OmniGraffle and OmniGraph Sketcher. And you can check out episodes 25 and 26 for the episode John and I had with Ken Case of the Omni Group. And still to come later this year is Omni Outliner and Omni Plan. So those are coming late summer and in fall. So that is OmniFocus for the iPad. My new favorite app of the iPad. It is essentially, it's my favorite app right now. So that's OmniFocus. And with that said, let's get into how you can support this podcast. So to support this podcast, please visit gadgetfreeway.com. That is the best way to show your support. They are sponsoring me. They are providing me the means to bring you this content, completely free of charge. Unless you want to pay for it. If you want to donate, you can, but completely free of charge. And I would like to thank GadgetFreeway.com for allowing me to do this podcast in this manner. So the reason I accepted them as a sponsor is they have some very compelling products, some very unique products that I've seen nowhere else. So they've got some anti-glare protectors, which you can get other places, but if you want to support this podcast, go to GadgetFreeway.com to do that. They've got a great iPad bag that is literally custom made for Gadget Freeway. They're made in the US. It's, as I talked about in the Sunday show, combines the case and the bag in one package for one price, and it is my new go-to bag and case for geocaching and hiking with my iPad. So they've got a lot of great Bluetooth products and just an amazing variety of just unique products that I'm sure you guys would love to check out. And it's just the best way to support this podcast. If you're liking what you're hearing about this podcast, if you want to support me, you can do that by going to GadgetFreeway.com. So with that said, you've been listening to the iPad Possibilities Podcast on tppn.tv. This is Tim, and I'll talk to everyone again for the Friday, Saturday episode later this week.